All right, what is up, you people? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? We are live. We are live on this Wednesday, May 10th at 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time. We're a little bit late, but screw it, we here. I had some stuff to take care of, my dogs. I had some stuff to take care of, and also, you can't see me down there in the corner. I just realized that. Hold up a second. No, you can't see me over there either. Maybe up here. You know what, that works. We'll go with that. That's fine. I like that. We'll go with that. Have me up top, have the video at the bottom. We'll go with that. All right. So, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? What is good? How y'all doing? We got Tucker Carlson on screen. Uh-oh. We got Tucker Carlson on stream tonight. Making some big news. I want to talk about this. I don't really want to get too much to the politics of it. Whether you're left wing, right wing, whatever, but this is a pop culture channel, and Tucker Carlson, I think he does kind of overlap in that pop culture, political arena. Like there's some overlap there. And there's also some overlap, with the man he's going to work for, or well, the platform he's going to work for that is owned by one Elon Musk, who is also a very big figure in pop culture as well, obviously. So I did want to kind of talk more about the pop culture implications of this and what does it mean for the changing landscape of media? Because I think this is bigger than what a lot of people really giving it credit for. But before we do that, before we dive into the whole Tucker Carlson thing, we're going to get to that here in a minute. I want to do a little bit of self-promotion. And we're going to head on over to, there we go. You know what? Actually, what I can do right now, though, I can delete this post because that's no longer relevant. Okay, so we're going to head over here to the Patreon. So y'all need to get your ass over to the Patreon. Okay, we got a lot of good stuff coming up. I got some videos in the works. I've got some videos I've already got finished, a couple of which are already on Patreon. These videos have not been released yet publicly. I literally just in the last few minutes, I uploaded to the Patreon the worst Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi versus Rise of Skywalker. This is a video I am very particularly proud of. A lot of editing, a lot of love and care went into this video. I'm particularly proud of this one. We also got, when will we see Kingdom Hearts 4 again? When are we going to get the next Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer? That's available right now. These two videos, along with several others, are going to be available publicly on YouTube next week. But they're available right now on Patreon for $3 a month. So what are you waiting for? Get your ass over on Patreon. What are you waiting for? What are you guys doing? Let me check my mic real quick. Okay, my mic's good. Actually, I'm going to raise the input just a tad, actually. My mic, I don't know what it is, but for some reason my mic, whenever I start a video or a live stream, it'll fluctuate the audio. So I have to make sure before I start recording that the audio's good. every time. I've had it goof up quite a few times, and like I sound loud as hell. It's ridiculous, but I think it's fine where it's at right now, so we're gonna leave it like that. Okay, but now get your ass on Patreon. Get your ass on Patreon. So what I'm gonna do for you guys, there is a 30-second preview for non-patrons already set up. I'm gonna give you guys a minute of each one of these videos so you guys can see what's coming up, and so let's go ahead and jump into that. Where's the volume control? Let me edit that just a little bit. About halfway should be good. All right, so here we go. So here is the Kingdom Hearts 4 video I've got coming up next week. Going to be released next week publicly on the gaming channel, which, by the way, the link to the gaming channel is down in the description box down below. Also, the link to the Patreon is down in the description box down below, or it's also in the pinned comment in the chat, or it's also the information for it is down at the bottom of your screen right now. If you guys are feeling extra generous, I have a PayPal, a Cash App, a Venmo. You can donate there as well. We have to get to where I can do this whole YouTube content creation thing full time. I think we're going to get there. You guys have already gotten me to over 200 subscribers. Yo, once we get to 1,000, we get monetized, baby. Or we can apply for monetization, I should say. And then I think it takes like a month and then we're monetized, which is definitely going to help because once you're monetized, they push you in the algorithm a lot more. All right. But for now, get your ass on Patreon. So I'm going to show you guys a minute preview of each of these videos so you guys can get a little bit of a, consider this a little bit of a strip tease for the Patreon. So let's go ahead and jump into this. Kingdom Hearts 4 was revealed at the highly anticipated Kingdom Hearts 20th anniversary event in March 2022. And since then, Tetsuya Nomura, Disney, and Square Enix have been completely silent, leaving the fans wondering, when will we see the next major installment of the franchise again? Honestly, I thought that we may have seen it at the Kingdom Hearts concert event that was held earlier this year, but it was sadly a no-show. E3 2023 would have been another possible event for Kingdom Hearts 4 to appear, but with its cancellation, that chance has gone out the window as well. So when exactly would be the best opportunity for us to see Kingdom Hearts 4 again? Well, Alright, so there you go. A little bit of a strip tease for that video. I'm going to give you guys a strip tease for this video as well. So let's go ahead and jump into the worst Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi versus The Rise of Skywalker. This video is also going to be releasing publicly next week, but it's available on Patreon right now. Again, early access, $3 a month. So yeah, but let's jump into this and bring the audio down just a little bit. All right, there we go. So there we go. Give you guys a minute of this. I have made no secret my feelings on the Disney Star Wars sequel trilogy. I think that these movies are an insult to the universe that George Lucas built, but even taking the movies on their own, ignoring their connection to what came before, I think that these movies are poorly constructed piles of... Though I will admit, like most of the fandom, I thought The Force Awakens was alright. I didn't like how closely it replicated episode 4, of course, but it did set up a lot of cool ideas that I couldn't wait to see play out in episodes 8 and 9. But just like Luke in The Last Jedi, I came out of the theater a very broken man. And there you go, folks. That's your minute striptease for that video. So there you go. You want to get the full videos? They're available on Patreon right freaking now. $3 a month. Information is on your screen down below. It's pinned in the chat. It's in the description box. All that good stuff. Go check it out. JeskerJames on Patreon. All right. So now that I've got that out of the way, now that I've done a bit of self-promotion, we're going to jump into our first topic for tonight, and that's going to be...
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. You often...
Whoa, hold up, buddy. Hold up. We ain't ready yet. All right. That's going to be Tucker Carlson heading over to Twitter. We're going to watch his full announcement video. Got to get me some coffee in the system. All right. So here's the thing. Regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, regardless of your opinions of Tucker Carlson, from a political standpoint, you cannot deny the man's impact on the culture. For good or for bad, depending on where you stand on the political aisle, you cannot deny the man's impact on the culture. You can't. So, Tucker Carlson has decided he's going to start doing his show on Twitter. Of course, Twitter is owned by Elon Musk. Elon Musk, another impactful figure on the culture. So here we have Tucker Carlson. We have Elon Musk doing the fusion dance, fusion ha. All right. And they're teaming up. All right. They're joining forces. I think that this is an ingenious move. And the reason why I think this is an ingenious move, and the reason also why I'm going to change up the title. Hold on a second. Tucker Carlson on Twitter. Actually, I'm going to change that a little bit. Should I join Tucker on Twitter? There we go. All right. Should I join Tucker on Twitter? Should I go to Twitter? I'm being serious about that, by the way. All right. So here's the thing. Tucker Carlson, regardless of how you feel about him when it comes to politics, regardless of where you stand on the political aisle, whether you're on the left or on the right, whatever, doesn't matter. You cannot deny the man's impact on the culture. You cannot deny his impact on the culture. And now we find out that Tucker Carlson's going to be taking his show over to Twitter. And who owns Twitter? Another man who has great impact on the culture, and that is one Elon Musk. Regardless of whether you like Elon Musk, you don't like Elon Musk, you cannot deny he is an impactful figure on the broader culture. So now these two are coming together, Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk. They're doing the fusion dance. They're doing fusion ha, coming together, and now they're joining forces. So I think that this is actually, for both of them, an ingenious move. Number one, Tucker Carlson was easily the number one name in cable news primetime, hands down, no doubt about it. Whether you like him or hate him, the numbers are what they are. So now he's bringing that audience to Twitter, and Twitter, of course, is owned by Elon Musk. Elon Musk is beloved by a lot of the same people that love Tucker Carlson. Now they're joining forces. Seems like a match made in heaven to me. All right. And I know Twitter is doing something with videos. I haven't really been keeping up with it. To be honest with you, I haven't posted on my Twitter in a while. I do have a Twitter. If you want to follow that, link to that is down in the description box below. But I haven't really been keeping up with the whole Twitter video thing, to be honest with you. Maybe I should. Maybe I should get on Twitter. Maybe I should start posting videos on Twitter. What do you guys think? Might be a smart idea. If Twitter ends up becoming like a serious competitor to YouTube, and Twitter has the capability to do that. Yes, I know there's Odyssey. I know there's Rumble. Used to be VidMe. Dude, I loved VidMe back in the day. You have no idea. But Twitter actually already has the user base installed. It's got the backing of Elon Musk, who has a crap ton of money. Twitter may actually have the resources and capabilities to actually compete with YouTube, because from what I understand, you can get monetized on Twitter. So maybe I should get in early. That's what happened with YouTube. A lot of the people that got in early on YouTube, they ended up becoming big names. Maybe I should do the same on Twitter. Thinking about it, definitely thinking about it. So maybe I should join Elon Musk or Tucker Carlson over on Twitter. We'll see. But let's see what Tucker has to say here, because I do think this is going to have a pretty big impact on the culture. Times are changing. And the landscape is changing when it comes to content and media. The 24-hour cable news networks, I mean, look, it's becoming an outdated model. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, they're starting to go the way of the dinosaur. And what we're seeing here from, Tucker Carlson, from YouTube, from podcast, from Elon Musk, this is the future. This is the future. Independent media. And regardless of how you feel about any of the people I'm about to list, Tim Pool, the Young Turks, Steven Crowder, even though I have unsubscribed from Steven Crowder because of how he treated his wife. I ain't down for that at all, bro. That ain't happening. But, all these people on the right and the left, they are the future of media. It is what it is. Independent creators. The Rippaverse with the comics and everything, independent media. That's where the future is. That's where the future is. So, people wonder, why stick to the YouTube thing? Why stick to creating content? Because that is the future. That is the future. YouTube is more popular than television. Question is Twitter going to become more popular than YouTube? We'll find out. But Tucker's definitely going to cause a huge boom over on Twitter. I have no doubt about that. Love him or hate him, it is what it is. So let's actually listen to this video. Let's listen to this message, and we'll dissect it here. So here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. You often hear people say the news is full of lies. But most of the time, that's not exactly right. Much of what you see on television or read the New York Times is in fact true in the literal sense. It could pass one of the media's own fact checks. Lawyers would be willing to sign off on it. In fact, they may have. But that doesn't make it true. It's not true. At the most basic level, the news you consume is a lie of the stealthiest and most insidious kind. Facts have been withheld on purpose, along with proportion and perspective. You are being manipulated. How does that work? Let's see. If I tell you that a man has been unjustly arrested.
So he's absolutely right about this, and it's true on both the left and the right. They will report the story. They will report, quote unquote, the facts, but they will twist it. They'll manipulate it. They'll try and change the perspective of it. They'll say, it means this or it means that. And it's like, can y'all just report the news and let me decide? And I'm talking about both sides of the political aisle. I don't want your spin. I don't really care about your freaking opinion. Just report the facts and let me decide. But they won't do that. So they'll report the story. They'll give you the facts, and then they'll take it and they'll twist it, or they'll suppress certain things, or they'll word things a certain way. They'll change the perspective of it. They try and make it very subjective. They take what's supposed to be objective reality and make it into subjective reality. So he's absolutely right about that. He's absolutely right about that because, the manipulation of the media, and this goes for both sides. Don't get it twisted. Fox News will bullshit you just as much as CNN will bullshit you, and vice versa. And MSNBC for sure is going to bullshit you. Okay? This goes for both sides. They will manipulate things. They'll take things out of context. It's very subtle. It's not like an open manipulation. It's not obvious. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. But it's a very subtle manipulation. Just change a word here, change a word there, recontextualize this, add this little bit of spin. Very subtle stuff to try and manipulate you. So he's absolutely right about that. Let's continue.
Arrested for armed robbery. That is not, strictly speaking, a lie. He may have been framed. At this point, there's been no trial, so no one can really say. But if I don't mention the fact that the same man has been arrested for the same crime 6 times before, am I really informing you? No, I'm not. I'm misleading you. And that's what the news media are doing in every story that matters, every day of the week, every week of the year. What's it like to work in a system like that? After more than 30 years in the middle of it, we could tell you stories. The best you can hope for in the news business at this point is the freedom to tell the fullest truth that you can. but there are always limits. And you know that if you bump up against those limits often enough, you will be fired for it.
This is absolutely true. And there's been stories from all sorts of different news media companies. I know, for example, Glenn Beck, and I'm not the biggest fan of Glenn Beck. Let's put it like that. He and I have some very philosophical disagreements on certain things. You know, I find his kind of worship of Americanism. I mean, that's what it comes off as me, is worship of Americanism, to be a little bit creepy, to be honest with you. Just as I find the left's worship of the planet to be a little bit creepy. They both come off very cult-like to me. But, you know, Glenn Beck has told some stories about how apparently Rupert Murdoch over at Fox, when Glenn was working there, like had a file on Glenn, and, you know, and apparently some of the stuff was made up. I don't know, but, you know, when you start stepping out of line, like there's a certain line you have to toe at these companies. When you start to step out of that line, you start to get out of your lane. They'll try and nudge you back and be like, hey, let's not talk about that. Or, hey, don't bring this up. Or, hey, why don't you report the story this way? Like that happens at Fox, that happens at CNN, that happens at MSNBC, because they don't just want to tell you the news. They don't just want to tell you the story. They want to tell you their version of the news, their version of the story. And they do it for a very specific agenda. And that agenda differs depending on which media company we're talking about. So he's absolutely right about that. So let's continue with the video.
That's not a guess, it's guaranteed. Every person who works in English language media understands that. The rule of what you can't say defines everything. It's filthy, really, and it's utterly corrupting. You can't have a free society if people aren't allowed to say what they think is true. Speech is the fundamental prerequisite for democracy. That's why it's enshrined in the first of our constitutional amendments. Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter, where we are now. Twitter has long served as the place where our national conversation incubates and develops. Twitter is not a partisan site.
So, you know, here's the thing. From a technical aspect, you know, there's been some glitches and some weird stuff with Twitter. Understandable. You know, Musk did have to purge a lot of people on the staff. Bit of a rocky road there. But in terms of like the freedom that's on Twitter, like the ability to say what you want to say and not be suppressed, and, you know, not be, you know, shut down, or, you know, all the crazy stuff that came out about what Twitter was doing, working with the government to suppress certain things and go after certain people and get rid of certain opinions, all that stuff. That is gone from Twitter. Now, of course, there's still rules and regulations. There's some things you can't put on Twitter, but we don't want those things on Twitter, obviously. You know, things that are illegal, especially certain crimes against nature, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But for the most part, like, I feel so much more welcomed at Twitter. I feel so much more comfortable over at Twitter when I do post. And again, I don't post a lot because I got so used to not using Twitter because of how bad it was. But I'm thinking about really amping up my Twitter usage again, because it does feel more like a safe environment. Even more so than YouTube, because YouTube, and again, YouTube has the potential to be great. It does. Like, I'm happy I'm here. I'm happy I get to post videos. I hope to be monetized very soon and turn this into a living. I want all of that stuff. But taking away any political bias, just looking outside of that, there is an algorithm on YouTube that sucks. It's not good. Like, I think, what's his name? It's a Gundam. Just recently got demonetized. And why? Like, probably because of a bot. Like, can we get rid of the bots? Get rid of the bots. And I know people are going to, there'll be YouTube defenders that say, yeah, but there's so many people on YouTube. There's so much traffic. They can't have a person keeping up with all of it and blah, 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 blah. You got to have some kind of automation. I get that, but just they do more harm than good. I honestly believe they do more harm than good. And the other thing is YouTube's terms of service are so freaking complex and aggravating. It's like the tax code. Oh my goodness. It's like, dude, why? Who designed this? And the other thing is, like, if I mess up on a video, tell me what I did wrong. Don't just give me a copyright claim. Don't try and demonetize me. Tell me what I did wrong. Tell me how you want me to correct it. And then let me go do that. Have a warning system. Because you gotta, if you have a certain way to do stuff, you need to, allow people to learn from their mistakes, not punish them for it. It's ridiculous. But yeah, like there's this whole algorithm on YouTube. I mean, it's nuts, bro. But I feel so much. I feel comfortable on Twitter compared to what I used to, and yeah, I'm seriously thinking about ramping up my Twitter usage and maybe trying out the whole video thing over there. I think they've got a live streaming feature now. I may try that out. I'll look into it. I'll look into it for sure. The other thing is that, he's talking about how everybody's got an agenda, how there's not a lot of, free spaces and stuff for speech. He's right. Even, like, for example, the Young Turks, they have their own agenda. Like, they're not going to let certain people working for them say certain things. Same thing at the Daily Wire. As much of an ass clown as I think Steven Crowder has become. I mean, Steven Crowder's just gotten really pathetic lately. It's just sad. It really is. As much of an ass clown as I think Steven Crowder has become, there's some stuff at the Daily Wire to where it's just like, they have a certain agenda. They have a certain way they want you to do things. It's just, and I don't know what's going on at the Blaze. Maybe it's the same there too. I don't know. But the point is, people need to be able to say what they want to say within reason, without being punished for it, without being controlled. I agree with that. An open, free society lives or dies on the ability to be able to speak freely and without punishment, to be able to debate openly ideas. Otherwise, how do we move forward? Otherwise, why are we even doing this whole government thing? Why are we even having this whole society thing? It's what's the point? Anyways, let's continue. The only way you're going to move forward, the only way you're going to progress is if you have people debate. You have to have people debate ideas, bring facts and evidence, and whoever has the best ideas and the best evidence wins. And then their policy is implemented. Hopefully the policy works out for the best. Things progress, move forward, and things get better. Like that's the whole point. But if we don't have debate, if we just have one idea, one side implementing their policies without debate first, that's not an open or free society, and it doesn't lead to progress at all. So let's move on. Let's continue.
Everybody's allowed here, and we think that's a good thing. And yet, for the most part, the news that you see analyzed on Twitter comes from media organizations that are themselves thinly disguised propaganda outlets. You see it on cable news, you talk about it on Twitter. The result may feel like a debate, but actually the gatekeepers are still in charge. We think that's a bad system. We know exactly how it works, and we're sick of it. Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about.
He's right about that. Listen, I'm not saying don't watch the mainstream media, all right? I'm not saying don't watch these establishment things. Yes, do watch them. Get every perspective, but don't take what they say as gospel. And understand they are trying to manipulate you. You need to listen to a bunch of different sources. Listen, I disagree with the Young Turks on like 95% of issues. All right. I disagree with them on like 95% of issues. maybe 90%. All right. I'll give him a little leeway. All right. I agree with universal health care. I agree that the whole system's broken. I agree that, we need to break up a lot of the big institutions and stuff that are just so corrupt. I agree with that stuff. But on a lot of social issues, we're going to disagree vehemently. On a lot of cultural issues, I disagree with them vehemently. But I was listening to like 4 or 5 Young Turk videos today because I was like, you know what? I want to get this perspective. I may not agree with them, but I want to get this perspective. And then I listened to, I just got done listening to Tim Pool's podcast. So I listen to different perspectives because I want to take this information. I want to sit down. I want to process this information. And I want to look at my own research, what I've looked into, what I've studied. And I want to try and come to a conclusion based on all of this. And that's what you guys need to do as well. That's one reason why I do like the direction Twitter is going, because everyone is on there. Everyone is welcome. And there's no suppression, left, right. It doesn't matter. All right. And you can debate. And yes, it's chaotic. And yes, it's the Wild West. But guess what? It's free. It is freedom. You can argue, you can debate, and let the best arguments, the best ideas win. Because hopefully, when the best ideas win and the best ideas are implemented and the debate is over and someone has won and those ideas are put into practice, it will lead to a better society. That's the whole freaking point. But if you don't have the debate, you can't get to the rest of that. You have to have the debate first, and then the rest follows. All right. If you just have one side saying, no, we're shutting everybody else out. People on the right, you shut the hell up. Or people on the left, you shut the hell up. And we're going to do what we are going to do. And, if you try and step up to us, we're going to smack you down. Listen. That's not figuring out the best idea. You need to have a competition of ideas. You need to have a competition of ideas to see which ideas are better. That's why we do sports. That's why we play football. That's why we play basketball. May the best team win. Push yourself. That's how it should be in debates. That's how it should be in ideas. And I like that Twitter is like this now. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others.
I would disagree with him on that. Life is the main right that you have. Without the right to life, you don't have the ability to speak, period. I think when you look at the Declaration of Independence, I think Thomas Jefferson got it right. All men are endowed by their creator. And by men, they don't mean the male gender. They mean humankind. Men as in mankind, humankind, the human race. All humans, all people are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. Those being the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I think those are put in that order for a reason. Life is the first and most important right. Without the ability to live, without the right to live, you don't have access to any of the other rights. Liberty. Liberty is what? It's not the freedom to do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt anybody else. Because that's a myth. That's a lie. Everything you do, every action you take, every decision you make, every choice you make will ripple out to all the other people connected to you. You are connected to everybody else. So this idea that liberty is the freedom to do whatever you want as long as you don't impact anybody else, that doesn't exist. Everything you do is going to impact everybody else. All right? Like a ripple effect. Liberty, in my opinion, is the ability. Liberty is the freedom to do what is right. Liberty is the freedom to do what is right. That's what I think liberty is, and not to be impeded by the government. It's the freedom to do what is right according to your conscience, not just according to your conscience, but according to that small voice, that still small voice that speaks to you. I call it God. Some people call it the universe. Some people call it the force, whatever you want to call it. The ability to follow that's speaking to you to the best of your ability. That, in my opinion, is liberty. And then the pursuit of happiness, the ability to pursue happiness. Now, this is the one that I think people confuse with liberty. Pursuing happiness means the freedom to pursue happiness as long as it does not negatively impact anybody else. And there's a lot of people that are pursuing their own happiness these days in ways that do negatively impact other people. You see this with greedy corporations. You see this with corrupt politicians. You see this with abusive partners, abusive parents, what have you. They pursue their own selfish desires to the detriment of everybody else. You see that a lot. That's not allowed, in my opinion. But that's why we have laws. That's why we have laws. If men were angels, no government would be necessary, right? That's why I'm not an anarchist. I understand that there is a need for government. We just need good governance. And we've not had good governance in this country in a very long time. We've not had good governance in this country in a very long time. I mean, there's people that don't know what it means to have good governance. They were born into bad governance. I mean, it's not just one party. It's both. It's both, and it goes back decades. All right. I guess we'll finish this up. But yeah, I disagree with Tucker there. I think life is the most important right. If you don't have the right to life, you don't have the ability to speak, period. So I would disagree with them there.
See you soon.
All right. That is it. So Tucker Carlson is on Twitter. He is teaming up with Elon Musk. They, like I said before, they're doing the fusion dance, fusion ha. And I think it's going to have a huge impact. I think it's going to have a major impact on the culture. I think it's going to change the landscape on the internet, especially. This could really be a huge promotion for Twitter's video platform, their live streaming stuff, which they're trying to set up. And it could really bring a lot of people over to that platform. And it could cost Twitter, because Twitter has the money. Twitter has the resources. Twitter already has the install base, because everybody's on Twitter. Whether you're active on Twitter or not, everybody's on Twitter. So you're going to have people rushing over there. And because of all that, it has a real shot of being a YouTube alternative in a way that Rumble or Odyssey or VidMe, RIP VidMe, I miss you, VidMe, you were freaking awesome. And in ways that none of those platforms are able to do. Even Rumble. And I mean, Rumble has seen a lot of growth lately, but even Rumble is not there where YouTube is yet. And Rumble has this problem to where it's a right wing haven, and there's a lot of politics on there. And I've got a video on Patreon. I'm promoting the Patreon again. I've got a video on Patreon where I actually talk about my issues with Rumble and how it needs to diversify. It can't just be an echo chamber of politics. You need to have gaming. You need to have anime. You need to have movies. You need to have pop culture on there. Damn it. Because politics is downstream of culture. So you need to have pop culture on there. But right now it's a right-wing echo chamber. And that's a problem. I think it's holding it back. Twitter, I think, has the ecosystem to where it could be more than that. Yes, you're going to have politics, of course, because politics is everywhere. You can't escape it. Whether you like it or not, you can't escape it. But you also have the chance for there to be gaming stuff, pop culture stuff, because all that's already on there. So I think that Twitter has the ecosystem and the install base and the resources to really be the YouTube alternative that needs to bring competition to YouTube. And it's not like I want YouTube to die, all right? I like YouTube, but damn it, there are huge problems with this platform. And I think the best way to fix those problems is to create competition, real competition. This is why competition is good, because it forces you to change. It forces you to improve. It forces you to get better. And that's what's needed, because YouTube's not going to do it on their own. Google's not going to change on their own. They have a monopoly right now. This is why I hate monopolies. I want competition, because competition is good for me, the consumer. It's good for you, the consumer. So damn it, let's do it. Let's go. Maybe Twitter could be that alternative. Maybe. We'll see. But I'm seriously thinking about getting on Twitter. I'm thinking about starting to upload on Twitter, see how that goes. Let me know down in the comments. What do you guys think about that? Would you like to see me on Twitter? Would you like to see me posting videos on Twitter, doing live streams on Twitter? Thinking about getting in there, because if I get in there early and this thing pops off like YouTube, hey, that could be my way to success, baby. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. So should I join Tucker on Twitter? That is the question. And give me your thoughts on this whole thing about Tucker Carlson joining Twitter, fusing with Elon Musk, essentially, doing the fusion dance. What do you think about this? Do you think this is going to have as big of an impact as I think it could have? Do you think that this could really, set Twitter off as, really growing and becoming that YouTube alternative? What do you think the impacts of this is going to be on the pop culture, regardless of how you feel about Tucker Carlson from a political standpoint? That's not what I'm asking about here. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm simply asking, what impact do you think this is going to have culturally, and what impact do you think this is going to have on the landscape of the internet? Do you think that this could lead to Twitter becoming a real YouTube alternative? Let me know down in the comments section down below. And please, for the love of God, try and keep it civil. All right. So that brings us to our next story. And I'm actually going to have to look this one up real quick. So let me check this out. Should have had an article ready to go, but screw it. That's not really what I want. We're going to be talking about The Little Mermaid. All right, you know what? Daily Mail, that's decent. We'll go with that one. All right, so you guys know I have been pretty critical of this Little Mermaid live action reboot. You guys know that I've complained about the whole race swap thing because, and let me be clear about this. Actually, hold on. Let me get a sip of coffee real quick. Let me grab a sip of coffee. Yeah, there we go. Oh, and let me change up the title again. Let's see. Underperforms under the sea. That sounds clever. All right, there we go. So let's dive into this story. So here's the thing. Excuse me. So you guys know that I have been extremely critical of this Little Mermaid, a live action remake. I didn't like the whole race swap thing. And let me just be clear about this, all right? It's not about the actress being black, all right? That's not the issue, all right? I don't mind having a black mermaid, all right? The problem is twofold. The problem is twofold, but they both have the same underlying issue here, and that is the lack of consistency and the hypocrisy from Disney and from, Disney defenders. All right. Here's the issue with it. Number one, do we just not give a damn about being faithful to the source material anymore? Do we just not give a damn? Are we really just going to be hypocrites here? Because we talk all the time about how, well, you can't have cultural appropriation of an African story, or you can't have cultural appropriation of an Asian story, or blah, 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 blah. Mean old white people, you can't appropriate certain cultures. But yet, here we have The Little Mermaid, which is based off of Hans Christian Andersen's original story, The Little Mermaid, which Hans Christian Andersen is Dutch, I believe, Finnish, Dutch, something like that. I think he's Dutch. So obviously a white dude. Obviously a white dude. In the book, the Little Mermaid is described as white with red hair. All right. I was informed by one of my subscribers, several of my subscribers actually, that she is described as white with red hair. So that means that the Little Mermaid, being a Dutch story, it is of that culture. So it's not cool to appropriate culture from certain parts of the world, but it is okay to appropriate culture from other parts of the world just based on race. What I am asking for here is freaking consistency and stop with the hypocrisy. Either it matters or it doesn't matter. It can't matter in certain cases. You can't pick and choose. You can't say, well, when we're talking about this culture, you can't appropriate this culture. But if we're talking about that culture, oh, you can appropriate that culture. Why? Based on what logic? Based on what reasoning? That's what I'm asking for. And don't give me some emotional bullshit. I don't care about your emotional argument. I want you to tell me the logic and the reasoning as to why. And if you don't have that, then you're being a hypocrite. It's that freaking simple. If it's wrong to culturally appropriate one, and that's the thing. If you had a fairy tale, if you had an ancient story from Africa and you wanted to adapt that into a movie, yeah, I expect most of the people playing that are going to be of African descent. Makes sense. I wouldn't change it. If you're going to have a Chinese story, most of the people are probably going to be Chinese. Fine, good, great, awesome. That's what I would want. But if you're going to have something from the Dutch, they're probably going to be white. I mean, come on. And look, it'd be fine if we were talking about some random mermaid story. Like if you wanted to come up with some news story about mermaids, fine. Make the mermaid black. Awesome. It may be wonderful. Don't care. But this is Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid. That's number one, is the hypocrisy of this whole thing. Number two is that this is a remake of Disney's The Little Mermaid. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I thought that the whole point of these remakes was to try and show what these animated movies and these animated characters would look like in real life. What would this look like in live action? What would this look like if it was real? I thought that was the whole idea behind these remakes. So if you're not trying to make these live action versions of the characters as accurate as possible to their animated counterparts, what's the point of the remake? What's the point? I'm thinking to myself, listen, even as a kid, I always wondered, like, what would these characters look like if they were real? What would Ariel look like if she was real? Ariel in that movie is white with red hair. That's what she looks like. So if I am going into this with the notion of what would Ariel look like in real life? What would she look like live action? You have to find someone that's white with red hair. If you're going to start race swapping everybody, then what's the point of the remake in the first place? Because you're taking away the original premise of the remake, which is to ask the question and to explore the idea, what would these characters look like in real life? If you're not going to be accurate to the original animated films, you're taking away that initial premise. And at that point, what is the point of the remake? I think I know what the point of the remake is, and the point pisses me off because it comes from a very dark place. If you start race swapping all of these characters, if you start and that's not the only thing they've done. Apparently, like there's this whole change to the Ariel and Prince Eric's romance. If you start changing everything from the original movie, what you're saying is that there's a problem with that original movie. Now, I grew up with these films. I grew up with Aladdin. I was a 90s kid. I grew up with Aladdin. I grew up with Beauty and the Beast. I grew up with Hercules. I grew up with The Lion King. I grew up with The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I grew up with The Little Mermaid. So when you start telling me that there's something wrong with those movies, when you start telling me that you're ashamed of those movies, when you start telling me that you're ashamed of the history of Disney, you're ashamed of the legacy of Disney, what you're saying is that my childhood was awful. That these things that meant so much to me as a kid, that I'm a bad person for liking them. That I should embrace new Disney and give the middle finger to old Disney and take all those childhood memories and those childhood experiences and those childhood feelings, and I just need to take a big old stinky dump on them because they were bad. Because I should be ashamed of growing up in that era. Because Disney as it stands today is ashamed of their history. They're ashamed of their past. That's what you're telling me. When you do shit like this, all right, I don't have to explain to you why this is bad. I'm doing it anyways. You have to explain to me why was it necessary to change the original look of The Little Mermaid? Why was it necessary for this remake to exist? Why is it necessary for any of these live action remakes to exist? Why is it necessary to change the story? What was wrong with The Little Mermaid, the original animated film? What was so wrong with it that it needed to be fixed, that it needed to be changed? Because you don't change stuff for no reason. You don't change things just because you feel like changing them. There's always a reason behind everything. There's a reason as to why you're doing it. And I think I know the reason. It's because you're ashamed of it. You're ashamed of your history. You're ashamed of your past. You're ashamed of the company you used to be. You're ashamed of what Disney was in the 90s. The Disney that I grew up with, the Disney that I fell in love with, the Disney that meant so much to me as a kid, the Disney that when I went to Disney World in the year 2000 as a little kid, and I was just so excited because I love these movies and I love this company and I love the magic of Disney and I love what they make me feel. You're telling me that is shameful? Otherwise, why would you change it? Do you know how much that hurts Disney? I grew up with you. I've given you money. My parents have given you money. My grandparents have given you money. You have existed because of people like me who have grown up with your stuff and supported you. And now you're taking a dump on all of that? You know how hurtful that is? And then you still expect me to walk into the theater and give you my money when you want to take a shit on my childhood? You want to insult me for my loyalty, my years of loyalty to you as a fan and as a customer? I mean, what other reason would you have to change this other than you're ashamed? You're ashamed of who you used to be. You're ashamed of your history, which is a fantastic history. God, the history of Disney is amazing. And you're ashamed of that. And you're ashamed of your fans. You're ashamed of what you used to be. That is the only reason you would change all this stuff. And now I'm starting to see the whole purpose of these live action remakes. I was mistaken. The premise of these live action remakes, I thought, was to bring these classic stories accurately to life on the big screen, to take these original animated films and to bring them to life in live action on the big screen, to ask the question, what would The Little Mermaid, that original 1980s film, what would The Little Mermaid look like if she was real? What would Ariel look like if she was real? To take that original premise of asking what these films would look like if they were real, which is a fun premise, a cool premise, a neat premise. I thought that was the premise, but I was wrong. I see what the premise is now. The premise is this is what's going through Disney's mind. This is what's going through the higher ups' minds. We're ashamed of the company we used to be. We're ashamed of all those classic films we put out. So you know what? We're going to fix that. We're going to come out with these live action remakes. We're going to change them. And we're going to make people try and forget about those stupid, evil, old animated movies. We're going to come out with these live action remakes, and this is going to be the new Disney. This is going to be the Disney that we can be proud of. Oh, our fans that brought us this far, that made us this wealthy, man, screw them. We got the blue-haired weirdos on Tumblr. That's our new fan base. This is your way of trying to rewrite history, trying to rewrite the past, trying to kill the past. I mean, screw you guys. All right, so according to the Daily Mail, The Little Mermaid receives mixed reviews from critics who praise Hal Bailey's performance as Ariel, but claim the live-action remake can't escape its animated legacy. And it shouldn't, because those animated films will always be classics. And that's nothing against Hal Bailey. I'm sure she's a great actress. From what I hear, she's fantastic in the role. She makes a fantastic Ariel. And good for her. Like, I'm not saying anything against her. Good for her. Great. Awesome. I hope she goes far, and I hope she has a wonderful acting career. But you know what these reviews, and I've seen a few of these reviews now, you know what these reviews remind me of? Batman versus Superman, where people will say, it's got its problems, it's got its issues, but Ben Affleck is a great Batman. There was a lot of reviews, a lot of early reviews about Batman versus Superman that said that. The movie has problems, but Ben Affleck is a great Batman. That's the vibe I'm getting from this. The Little Mermaid has problems, but Hal Bailey is a great Ariel, and I'm sure she is. Listen, her singing voice in the trailers is really good. But can we get her to play Tiana or something? And that brings me, this will be my final point before we wrap up this segment of the live stream. Before we wrap up this topic. If they do a live action Princess and the Frog, would it be acceptable to race swap Tiana? I wouldn't want that. I like the Princess and the Frog. I like Tiana. I wouldn't want to see that. I wouldn't want her to be race swapped. But would it be okay? And if not, why? Why is it not okay to race swap Tiana, but it is okay to race swap Ariel? How can no one see that that's an obvious double standard? That's an obvious hypocrisy. And how can people be okay with that? How can people be okay with such a double standard? I hate hypocrites, man. I hate hypocrites. There's few things in this world that piss me off more than hypocrisy. And God bless it, there is so much hypocrisy in today's world. It is absolutely frustrating. If you have a reason as to why it's not hypocritical for us to race swap one character but not another, I'm willing to listen. But I see hypocrisy all over it. And now I think there's like this whole thing going on with the Nani from Lilo and Stitch. They want to do a live action Lilo and Stitch remake. And apparently like it's another race swap, and it's like the reverse reaction. to where apparently like she's not Hawaiian enough or whatever. And it's like, oh, so when they race swap one kind of character with another kind of character, oh, then it's a problem, but not vice versa. I'm tired of the hypocrisy. I want consistency. I demand consistency. If you cannot give me that in an argument, step aside. You don't belong in the debate. If we're going to have these arguments and we're going to have these debates, you better bring a consistent argument with logic and reasoning and not your feelings. I'm tired of people's feelings dictating their arguments. It is so frustrating. So we'll see how this movie does. Am I going to go see it? Probably not. I don't think I've seen a Disney movie all year. I haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I really don't plan to because I'm so fed up with Marvel. I didn't see Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and thank God I didn't because apparently that movie was god-awful. Probably not going to go see this either. Just because I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being I'm tired of this abusive relationship that is Disney. I am tired of it. If you want my money, you will treat me with respect. I am not a resource for you to drain. I am a human being, and you are an entertainment company, and I expect to be entertained in a respectable way. And if you cannot do that, you do not get my money. Is that clear? I would rather be on this live stream. I'd rather be on this channel every single week, putting out videos, hyping Disney up, praising Disney, because I used to feel that way. Back before the whole Star Wars debacle, I loved Disney. I thought Disney could do no wrong. They were putting out banger after banger. It was amazing. They were one of my favorite companies, if not my favorite company. And it's just been bullshit after bullshit after bullshit for the last decade or so. And I am so tired of it. And I'm tired now. I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to bed. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. All right. Give me your thoughts on this whole Little Mermaid situation. Like, if I'm wrong, let me know. And I'm open for debate. But this is the reasons that I feel the way that I do. If the original Little Mermaid film had come out and Ariel was black in that movie, I would not have a problem. But I don't know. I think I've explained myself well enough. If you disagree, let me know why in the comments. I am willing to have that debate, but you better bring consistent arguments because don't waste my time with inconsistencies. And for the love of God, do not bring some bull crap argument about, like how this is, compensation for some grievance done between the races centuries ago. I don't want to hear it. I'm talking about the Little Mermaid. Okay. I need to stop before I get just so pissed off that I say something I'm going to regret because I'm just okay. I'm done. Comment down below, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You guys know what to do. All right. Check out the Patreon. And I'll see you guys later. This is JeskerJames with a Z, and I am signing out.